So in this video, we're looking at the Learning Target 4D, so that's Focus Standard 4, and Learning Target D. I can understand what the graph of two variables represents. So this is two variables because it's graphing both an x and a y coordinate. And we're going to figure out what that represents, meaning we're going to be thinking about things like what's the y-intercept, what's the rate of change, making the equation, and then seeing if some of these points that we have here model this graph that we have here. This is the same question that you had on your tests, so as we're going through this, you can look at how your work looked and then compare that to what we've got here. Okay? So the graph is shown below. It's actually to the side here. Write the equation for the graph line. So to write an equation, you need to find both the y-intercept and the rate of change. The y-intercept being the point where the graph line comes down and passes the y-axis. So this is the vertical y-axis. And that point is right here. And that coordinate pair is 0, negative 6. So I'm going to go ahead and label that right here, 0, negative 6. It's a key feature that's important. I'm going to find that rate of change. So I can find it by plotting points on a table and then finding rate of change on a table if that's the easiest method. But the way that I'm going to show it is by finding the stair steps on the graph. So I'm going to write change of y over change of x. My change of y is my vertical change. Change of x is my horizontal change. And if I'm going up, then it's a positive. If I were to be going down, it would be negative. And also for the x, if I'm going to the right, like on a number line, it's positive, and to the left would be negative. So I'm here. I'm going to find my next good point. Next good point is right there. And so I'm going to look at my stair steps to get there, my driving direction. So I've got 1, 2, 3. So it's up 3 and over 1. And there's that point. Over 1. And that's going to continue every time. 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And there's that point. So the rate of change is 3 over 1. Now the reason why I can just count squares here is because the scale is going up by 1. But be careful because that could get you into a problem if the scale was going up by 5s. When I was doing my hops, I'd have to be hopping by 5s. So make sure that you're paying attention to that scale when you do it. So I've got my two pieces to make my equation. So my equation is going to become f of x, which is standing for y. So f of x, the function of x, is going to be 3x minus 6. This could also be f of x is negative 6 plus 3x. Either one's going to work. Doesn't matter what order we go in. So the next question is the point 30, 52 on the graph line? So we know in a coordinate pair that we're always reading coordinate pairs as x, y. So that means the 30 is going to be an x, and the 52 is going to be a y. This is our x, and this is our y. And so if I go back to my equation and I say f of x equals 3x minus 6, then I can just substitute these values into the correct places here, and I can decide whether that's a true statement with that equation there. I'm going to put the 30 in for x, so it's going to become 3 times 30, so the x was replaced with 30 because the 30 is coming from there, minus 6, and when I do that, I'm going to need to get 52 because that's going to be my y there. And so I got 3 times 30, and that's going to give me 90, minus 6, so 90 minus 6 is going to be 84. And so as I'm looking at that, that looks like that is not a true statement because when the x is 30, the y is 84, not 52. Okay? And when it says explain, there's your explanation right there. Does the following equation model the graph? So here's another form of an equation. This is in standard form. It has an x and y on the same side, whereas this is in slope-intercept form. It's y equals or f of x equals, and then everything else is on the other side. I can see my slope, and I can see my slope and my y-intercept in that form. So we're going to go standard form, and we're going to turn it into slope-intercept form if we see this key feature show up. So just rearranging for y, so I'm going to add out 9x, and I've got 3y equals negative 18 plus 9x. Oops, you guys can't see. So I just added out that 9x on both sides, and I was left with this 3y on this side, so I'm going to divide by 3 to get y by itself, and so I end up with y equals. And I have to divide everything over here by 3. Negative 18 divided by 3 is negative 6. And 9x divided by 3 is going to be plus 3x. So you're going to say, do these key features match up with these key features? And the answer is yes. This equation is this equation. So this equation is also another form of this equation. Does the following equation model the graph? Yes. When it says explain, your explanation is right there. All right. Make sure you do your on your own for the next part, and make sure you get that turned in, and then I will check it and sign you up for a retest. Good job on working hard and persevering.